Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now today's video is the second part of a two-part video. This is game-changing gear from 2GoSystems. Now in the first video we took a look at the Shift Hybrid quilt and I showed you a first impressions video of me getting my hands on that quilt for the first time, taking a look at the overall construction and generally looking at the features and how I would think it would work for me. Now in today's video, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to take a look at this version 3 Trifecta. Now I have not yet taken it out of the stuff sack here, so we're going to open this up, just similar like we did to the shift quilt. Take a look at this, talk about the details, go through the overall quality, and I'll talk about a little bit how I think I'm going to use this. So if you want to see more and you're interested in checking out this version 3 Trifecta, stay tuned. Now this Trifecta for me is what I'm going to say was a little bit of an enigma, kind of a puzzle. I wasn't too sure what this thing was about. I couldn't really understand exactly how I'd use it and what the overall purpose was. I mean, I had kind of general ideas, but I was just sort of a little bit confused. Now, I looked a little bit deeper, thought about it a little bit further, and realized that this product is actually, again, another game changer for me. Kind of rattled my brain and kicked it around and said, you know what, I can see some real definite uses for this, and I totally am looking forward to what this can do in terms of a cold weather system. Now with the shift quilt, using this in combination, I believe I've created what's going to be for me an ideal cold weather system, keeping me dry, keeping me warm, and allowing me to go deeper into the woods, deeper into the mountains, in more adverse conditions, and staying perfectly safe and comfortable. Now the general intention of this Trifecta is to use it as a number of different things, but mainly a thermal blanket, a bivvy, or a canopy. So this is the standard size. There is also an extra large. Again, this is the version 3, so there are other versions out there, but this is the current version at the time of this video. So in other words, this Trifecta is 35.4 inches wide by 87.7 inches long. And my intention is to use this as a bivvy sack, as I mentioned, in combination with the shift quilt to create a shelter system. So at this point, the actual Trifecta is inside of this stuff sack. So I'm going to start to expose it here, and you'll see that both the stuff sack and the Trifecta are both the identical same color. Now this is a Tyvek material. It's considered to be olefin, which is really the fabric type for Tyvek. So the first thing that you might notice, and if a lot of you are familiar with Tyvek, typically it's white. This is a beautiful color. This Tyvek is the exact same material that's used on a number of other 2GoSystem products, and another product that I have reviewed is the 2GoSystems Bob version 2 poncho, and it is the identical same material, so I do have familiarity with it. I like this material. It's excellent. Overall, visually, it's really cool. I found that it actually takes on a number of different colors depending on your surroundings, and actually has almost the appearance of a rock when you look at it from a distance. So a very neat and unique color, and overall a great material for this type of product. So one of the important things about this, before I get too far, is that this product is 13.9 ounces, so it is less than 1 pound. So overall, a lightweight option. It is durable. It is waterproof. It actually has nice rubberized zippers to keep it waterproof. So overall, this is a lightweight option to give you some good quality water resistance. And again, 2GoSystems is basically modeled after giving you multi-use products, things that can be used in more than one way. So the very first use I'm going to have for this is using it as a bivvy sack, but then down the line, this can certainly be turned into a tarp or an improvised shelter. It has a pretty good overall size once it's unzipped, so it gives you some decent cover overhead. But we're just going to take a look at this thing, get into some of the details, and right now basically I'm going to completely unzip this, get it into the fully open configuration, and then I'll show you the inside so you understand kind of what's going on here. Now, exposing the inside of the Trifecta, you will see that it is an aluminized coating on the inside. So very much like other 2GoSystems products, one of the little innovations that I really gravitate towards is this aluminized underside. This provides a reflective layer that actually can reflect your body heat back at you. Now, it's the same similar layer that you find in, say, for example, the Shift quilt. So it is this sort of aluminized Tyvek layer that does end up being manufactured into the Shift quilt so that your body heat will reflect back at you. Now, in the Shift, it is a thinner material than this. It's not quite as thick of a Tyvek. So it does cut down a little bit on the bulk, but it still provides you with wind resistance and in a similar fashion giving you the body heat reflectivity. Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult to show you, but now that I've unzipped this thing all the way, basically I'm inside here holding up a tarp, and it's a nice size, reasonably full-size tarp. So as you unzip it here, you know, my wingspan is just about 6 feet. So I have a 6-foot tarp by about 7 feet in length. So 6-foot width, 7-foot length, totally capable of giving you a great improvised shelter. So not only is this going to work as a bivy sack and the ability to really climb into this thing and keep you warm, or climb into it with a sleeping bag and keep you dry, but now you also have a tarp. So multi-use product. This could also actually be used as a ground sheet and then have the silver layer pointing up to reflect some additional body heat back at you. So another thing about the 2GoSystems products is that you can reverse this. You can string it up with the aluminized layer facing out, which will reflect the sun's rays and actually keep you cooler beneath the tarp. So pretty interesting. Now, another aspect that I've thought about, that it's not really the original intended purpose, but I think this would actually also make a pretty good signaling device. I would suspect that on a bright sunny day, if you were waving this thing around, it would definitely draw some attention to you. Now, I've never tested that, but I'd be really curious to see how much sunlight really bounces off this thing and how much attention it would draw. So now taking a look at some of the details up close. As we get in there, this is what I was saying about that Tyvek. It is a very interesting color. If you look real close, it's got all those mighty fine little dots. So you end up with sort of, call it the overall macro pattern, which if you look at the way this is wrinkled, and I mean, yeah, that's from storage, but use your imagination here. The way this is wrinkled and the shade that you get and the highlights and the shadows, and then the color and the way it reflects light outside really gives this the appearance of a rock, which is excellent. It's like camouflage kinda. So it's really an interesting color overall. The inside is the aluminized layer, and actually you can start to see some of the stitching and how this is put together. So let's take a look at these tie-outs and we'll cover the bases there. Now, taking a look at one of the tie-outs on the corners, you'll see that it is box stitched, it is reinforced, pretty much end up with sort of the trim fabric coming around the underside here. Now that is basically creating sort of protection for the zipper, and then you end up with the tie out with the box stitching and that fully reinforced area. And taking a look at it again from the inside, you can see how it is all stitched together. So overall, looks like quality stitching. No stitches are out of place. Very well done. Looks pretty solid to me. Now, because of the overall size of this Trifecta, you'll see that there are multiple pieces of the fabric that make this up. So you do end up with a seam. However, as you look closely, it is stitched very nicely, and then on top of that, heat taped to give you the water resistance that you need. So, you know, that's one of the things that's really important, just making sure that the heat tape is nice and solid, that there's no wrinkles or bumps, and everywhere I look, it seems to be on here very well. There aren't really any trouble spots I can find, so nicely done with the tape, nice and flat and well adhered and covering the stitching the entire length. Now getting a quick look at the zippers, here you will see that the zipper itself is really protected by a flap of this olefin. And so when it's fully zipped up, you do have the ability to kind of pull this over and give it some additional protection. So that's a nice little detail, good attention to detail, and definitely something of importance. Now overall, these zippers themselves are kind of a rubberized exterior. So you're already somewhat being protected by these rubberized zippers, but at the same time having the additional little flap of the Tyvek is definitely a bonus. Now getting real tight on that zipper there, you can see the detail of the rubber just covering up those teeth and really protecting it so that if there was water trying to get in there, it would certainly be minimized. So good zipper design and very well done. Now just running the zipper, and as I pull, something worth noting is that this is a double-sided zipper. So that's a good feature if you were climbing inside this and using it as a bivy sack. It is nice to have that zipper on the inside where you can get to it easily. But running the zipper, even though it's rubberized, it still runs down the track very nicely, very smooth. And then you can see there this well-protected zipper. So again, not only are you minimizing the amount of teeth that are exposed because of this rubberized coating, but then you also get that flap. So if you're careful and paying attention to this, when you set it up and you climb in, you can really make sure that this flap is kind of seated into place to give you the maximum overall protection. Now again, just continuing to zip this all the way back up. Turning the corners. These corners are rounded and nicely rounded, so turning the corners with the zipper is quite easy. And just working my way from the bottom towards the top. Not the easiest thing inside, but it is doable. And we're complete. Now at this point, this is completely zipped up. There's literally no way to get inside it. So both the top and the bottom are completely zipped up. So interesting that the zippers are allowed to go all the way around to the top. So in theory, you could probably climb in this completely, zip it all the way up, and really keep yourself out of the elements if you had to. And then, of course, at that point, you probably want to just sort of create yourself some ventilation, or you could pull this really tight up around your neck, or whatever you had to do. So the fact that the zippers go all the way around the entire trifecta is definitely helpful. Now, that is also the reason why this is able to be completely unzipped and opened up into a tarp, because you have a continuous running zipper, and it gives you really the ability to completely open this up and get it flat. So overall, nice design, interesting features, and I think this thing is going to be pretty darn useful. Now just an observation as I'm sort of folding this up, if you take a look here, I still have a whole bunch of air trapped inside of this. So as I'm going to roll this up, basically working all the air towards one side. I mean, the air's coming out of here, but it is pretty well trapped. So that to me is a good sign, because if the air is going to be trapped like this and be, I mean, I'm not saying it's really super difficult to get out, but if you have to kind of work to get the air out, that's telling me that this is good and sealed overall. And if it's a difficult time getting the air out of it, certainly going to be difficult having water get into it. Now, a little detail about one of the things that I do like. 2GoSystems did a great job with the logo. Now, one of my criticisms on the Reflect tarp was that the logo was too bright. You could see it from a long distance away. It really stuck out quite a bit, and it was large and oversized. But you'll see here that on the Trifecta, they got the color really subdued, so even though the logo's on there, it's not going to stick out too much. It's not going to draw your attention. And if you were using this as kind of like a camouflage, or you wanted to be a little bit low-key, I think that's a bonus. So the idea that they put their logo on here and it's a nice size, but it's well hidden, is definitely, in my book, a plus. Now, just to finish things up and give you a few last details on the standard size Trifecta, which I have here, there are 9 tie-outs, so you have all your corners, a ridgeline tie-out, and then also a couple of center tie-outs on the edge of this, so if you're going to use it like a tarp, you can really string it out. Now, 2GoSystems does warn you not to put too much overall tension on this because you could potentially rip it. This is certainly capable of withstanding the elements, but at the same time, you do not want to over-tension this. So you just got to be a little bit careful, take it a little bit easy, and not necessarily over-tension this, but at the same time, it will be totally durable and capable of sustaining some harsh conditions. And last but not least, just to talk real quick about the stuff sack. So it's made out of the exact same material as the Trifecta, has the same sort of logo and color. It's just a small piece of the olefin material that is fabricated into a stuff sack with a keeper. So pretty straightforward, but it is capable of managing this and keeping it in a relatively small package. So alright guys, not the easiest place to do a review for a product of this size. Overall, a nice quality product for me, giving me additional warmth in the winter, at least for now, and then I will certainly learn different ways I'm going to use this in the spring and summer. Like the rest of 2GoSystems, innovative, well constructed, well thought through, and a multi-use product. So very nice job. I'm extremely excited for this. I cannot wait to get it out to the trails, and stay tuned because in the near future, within the next few videos, you're actually going to see some field use videos of this and the other 2GoSystems gear that I have. So if you're interested in this, definitely pay attention, stay tuned, more to come for 2GoSystems. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.